So again, we got another teaser today, and we're probably going to get another one tomorrow for DLC 1 for Cold War Zombies, which is starting to look more and more likely. On 115 Day, we will be getting a reveal for this map, which I'm very excited for. But I gotta admit that today's teaser isn't as in-depth as yesterday's. I mean, the other one was literally an overview of the entire map, so it's probably going to be more, but this one, it doesn't show as much, but there's something to explain here about a character that I don't think many people are familiar with, and that's what I mainly want to do with this video. But either way, let's put this image on screen and talk about it. So as for the image itself, it's nothing like too crazy. It just looks like a bedroom, a pretty fancy bedroom, which the only thing I can really say about that is that it's weird to have this really fancy bedroom when this is supposed to be some sort of evil place where they do evil experiments and stuff like that. So why'd you bring all this fancy stuff with you? It's kind of weird, but regardless, it's something to, I guess, notice. This also does look like a playable area, so this is probably something we're going to go through. We do know there are many buildings inside this map because of what we saw through the overview. So it's probably going to be one of those buildings, which means that the buildings are going to have playable areas like we expected. But besides that, really nothing you'd say for the image. But what's more interesting is what's said on the writing of the image. I'm going to read this off real quick because what it says is M. Dr. Peck's personal quarters, Omega scientist in charge of Outpost 25. R. Quickly, I want to touch on the M and R because this is something we touched on yesterday and went into more depth. But for now, I just want to quickly go over them for the people who missed that. M is in relation to Samantha Maxis. Obviously, her last name starts with M, Maxis. So that's who that's referring to. But as for R, we don't know who that is currently. It has been speculated by myself and others that this is possibly Richtofen because it's Edward Richtofen, right? So it would make sense, but I'm not too sure about that still. I'd be very skeptical about that. Don't get your hopes too high for that because it could just be a throwaway character here like Tatiana or something like that. If you guys know who that is, then there's that. But regardless, we already went over this, so we're going to go back to what they actually talked about in the writing. So what is said, of course, again, is Dr. Peck's personal quarters, Omega scientist in charge of Outpost 25. So Dr. Peck, or his full name, Dr. William Peck, is actually someone that I don't think many people are familiar with because he is someone that wasn't really in the game at launch. We really didn't know about him at launch because the first time we heard of him was inside a spectral reflection that wasn't required for the Easter egg. So if you guys remember about that, they weren't in the game at launch and they didn't add them until a week or two later after launch. So this is something that many people weren't familiar with, but then we really got more to know about him inside the Season 1 intel, so maybe more people are familiar with him because of that, but regardless, that's who he is. But he has some questionable things about him. One of the things is that, as you guys can tell from this, he's a pretty powerful person at Omega Group because he's literally in charge of an entire outpost. They literally say he's in charge of Outpost 25, which is the map we're going to be going to, which actually now thinking about it, I wonder if they're going to call the map Outpost 25. But regardless, the point here is that I'm saying he's a pretty powerful person in Omega Group if he's in charge of an entire outpost, which is something we've known before actually because there was some intel that said he was one of the leads at Omega Group. So we know he's pretty powerful. But the things that I find very strange about this guy is that he doesn't seem very Russian, both through not having a Russian accent and also his name being William Peck, not very Russian name. So it is interesting to see that someone who's potentially not even Russian is someone who's not only helping them, but also has a very high position at Omega Group. It's just interesting to see that someone like that would be involved here. So we're going to have to wait and see to maybe that being explained in the future. But for now, we're just gotta keep an eye on that, I guess. But regardless, another thing I want to do here is actually play you guys one of the radios or his only radio that we got from him in Season 1 because this actually may be explaining to us what's going to be going on inside DLC 1 or what at least Dr. Peck has been doing in DLC 1. So I'll play that for you guys right now.
Personal log. Dr. William Peck, November 3rd, 1983. Operation Undertaker has been declared a resounding success. Intel has reported in from around the globe. We have confirmed the existence of multiple dimensional gates. To the surprise of many, including myself, it appears Dr. Valentina's hypothesis was correct. In fact, her results have surpassed expectations. Credit where credit is due. But now we are on to phase 2, where my expertise comes into play. I received a report that a live specimen has already been acquired and transported to my facility for analysis. The organisms of this other world are unlike anything I've seen. There is so much we can learn from them. It's not just the creatures. It's these crystalline growths. The Colonel wants weapons? Why stop there? We can do so much more.
So the first part of this radio really isn't that important. It's just him giving credit to Dr. Valentina for being correct about her hypothesis that if they open the rift again in the Machina, or I guess if you want to just call it the end station, that it would then cause rifts to open around the world, and just giving credit to her for being right. But what's actually interesting about this radio, and probably gives us an insight into what's going to be going on inside DLC 1, is that when he says, but now we're on to phase 2, then he continues to say, I've received a report that a live specimen has already been acquired and transported to my facility for analysis. So what he's talking about here is that an organism from the dark ether has been captured, and now it's being transported to his facility, which we know his facility is most likely going to be Outpost 25, our next map, and he's going to be doing experiments on them, and that's probably going to be pretty important to this map and may have something to do with maybe the boss of this, or the boss fight of this upcoming map, because if he's doing experiments on specimens from the other dimension or the dark ether, I can't imagine that's going to be anything good. But regardless, it does give us an idea of what we're probably going to be dealing with when we get into this map. It may just be a mini boss, but I hope whatever this is going to be at least some sort of, boss at the end of the map. So I'm really excited to see that, because we know that Treyarch wants to really show off with their DLC ones. So I can't wait to see what they're going to do here with that. But another thing he did say during this radio, he says it's not just the creatures, it's the crystal growths, which we know as Ethereum. But then he says the Colonel wants weapon. Why stop there? We can do so much more. So we're going to have to wait and see what Dr. William Peck has up his sleeves for this Outpost 25 and what we're going to encounter there. I can't imagine it's going to be anything great, but it's going to be amazing to find out and see what we're going to be dealing with. It gets me excited for what we're going to be seeing. But regardless, that's about it for this video. If you guys did enjoy this video and this taught you a little bit more about Dr. William Peck and also gave you an insight to what may be going on inside DLC 1, then definitely do all the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, and all that great stuff. But I'm going to go, and I'll catch you guys next stream video, or whatever that may be, and laters, guys.